G'day there, thanks for coming to my channel. Please let me just take a moment to thank the people that are responsible for this channel even existing, my patrons. These guys do more for me than I can ever put into words. Thank you all so much. Man, I cannot believe just how big this screen is getting now. It just totally blows my mind. You guys are nuts, you're insane, and I love yous all. Anyway, it's time for the video, so I hope you enjoy.
G'day, and welcome to this week's highly requested poll episode topic, how to tell people you're a furry, and what to do with all the different reactions you'll get. Let's assume you're already pretty well versed on the furry fandom, like you know what it is, you know what it's about, and you might even already have yourself a persona. But if not, please pause the video right now and go watch Beta's guide on the fandom video. It's only 6 minutes long and it'll tell you pretty much everything you need to know to catch up and learn all there is about the fandom, so go click on the card there or click on the link in the description. I'll happily wait for you. Okay. Alright, you good? You back? Alright, let's continue. The furry fandom is definitely quite out of the norm compared to the ways of life and the trends the rest of society follows. And because of this, you might feel like you're obliged to come out as a furry, like someone who is LGBT would. However, being LGBT is not a choice, while being a furry absolutely is. That's because the furry fandom is a hobby. It's something you do for fun, like playing sports, train spotting, bird watching, being an anime fan. These are hobbies and not identities, so you don't have to come out. Being a furry is absolutely no exception. Say it with me. You do not need to come out as furry. If you're passionate about being a furry though, you still might want to tell all your friends and family about it simply because you're really excited to share and talk about something you love, which is perfectly fine. But I know a lot of you are really worried about what they're gonna think, or you might even already know they have negative feelings towards furries. It is your responsibility to judge whether or not it is a good idea to tell someone you're a furry. It is absolutely okay to not show you're a furry on the surface if you don't feel comfortable. I know plenty of furries whose involvement in the fandom is kept a very tight secret because they know their family or their workplace doesn't take kindly to furries. But you also don't have to hide it if you don't want to. Now, you don't want to jump in every person's face like, "Woo, hey guys, yeah, I'm a furry, woo!" If you're starting the conversation, you could try something like, "Hi person, have you heard of furries before?" "Why, no, I haven't." "Oh, well, it's this really cool fandom that I'm thinking of looking into. Can I show you some stuff from it?" "Sure, sounds interesting." And they'll bring up some cool artwork or photos or videos or anything you think this person will like. If they like it, cool, you are a winner. Finish the conversation, and the next time the subject comes up, you can talk more about it. If they don't like it, ask them why. I reckon the most common answer you'll get is, "It looks creepy." Unfortunately, there's not much you can do when someone is just creeped out by the overall look of furries. They can be desensitized over time, but you don't want to shove furries down their throat if they don't like them. Respect their feelings and try not to bring up furries around them anymore. If they have heard of furries when you first ask, don't immediately switch into damage control mode like, "Oh, don't worry, it's not this crazy sex thing like the media says, it's all good, because now you've implanted that idea in their mind whether or not they were actually thinking about it. You do not need to address the not safe for work elements of furries if it is not brought up. I'll talk about that elephant in the room in a sec. But for now, just continue the conversation with something like, "Oh cool, I super want to check out this furry convention sometime. I think I might join the fandom." And then from there, hopefully they'll be like, "Oh, that's nice," or "I went to a Comic-Con once and that was pretty fun," and continue on the conversation. From there, you'll know how they will react if the topic of you being a furry comes up again. Now, if they do know the fandom, and they're pre-convinced it's all extremely not safe for work, tell them the truth, but finish on the positive. For example, like all fandoms, there are a minority of people who are into a sexual aspect, but it is all respectfully kept behind closed doors. You will only find it if you go looking for it. The furry fandom is about coming together as fans of anthropomorphic animal characters like Nick Wilde, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Balto. And then we create our own characters as a fun way to identify ourselves with, and then we just hang out, play video games, and party like any old group of friends. If this person you're talking to is someone close to you, whether or not you've actually been able to change their perspective on furries, they should still be okay with it, or at least willing to accept it's a hobby you enjoy. If they completely ditch you for being a furry, just give them some time, and as a friend they may come to understand, but at the end of the day, it's their choice. Don't force furry upon them. You will always find more friends down the road who won't have a problem with it, or they might even just be a furry themselves. However, if you are young and still dependent on your parents, it can get a bit harder. You might need to ask them to take you to a furry convention or help you build a fursuit head, and for that, you are going to have to explain the fandom to them. A lot of parents will probably get wary as a whole because they may not understand. For this, I highly recommend you point your parents to the MOFs, the mums of furries. They are an incredible resource for kids trying to explain furries to their parents, because they themselves are parents of kids who are furries. Their videos will address your parents in a comfortable parent-to-parent way, explaining everything they need to know, telling them about the lingo. It's a really good overall coverage. Either way, I highly recommend checking out the MOFs channel. They are just so super sweet, and it's really cool to see such supportive parents get so involved in our fandom. Going on the topic from younger furries, I get so many emails from you guys whose friends at school are ridiculously anti-furry, and some of you have even lost friends and gained bullies when you've told them you're a furry. If you are getting bullied, please talk to an adult, a teacher, a parent, a family friend, a therapist, anyone who will listen. Explain what is going on and they may be able to help you. Otherwise, there are phone lines in your respective countries where you can talk to someone and get anything you need off your chest. If you are still having troubles at school, always remember that school is not forever. Your life is just getting started. Study hard and you will get through this bump. I would also like to specifically talk about partners who aren't furries. If your partner gets legitimately upset at the hobbies you enjoy, it may be a good idea to sit down and have a chat with them. When it comes to relationships, supporting each other is absolutely key. Surprise, surprise, partners don't have to have the same likes and hobbies. You can disagree on some things. But supporting something that you're not a big fan of but makes your partner extremely happy is a sign of a healthy relationship. For example, I love birds. Birds are one of my most favorite animals ever. But Kiba, my partner, doesn't like them at all. She finds them too noisy, too messy, and she's weirded out by beaks. I just think they're so cute and fluffy and adorable. They like to sing and I love birds. Yet she'll happily drive me 3 hours to my favorite aviary. And she even lets me keep 5 budgies and a cockatiel in my aviary that she built for me. In return, I make sure not to keep any birds in the house so she doesn't have to be around them all the time. It's that respect for each other that allows us to enjoy the things that we have differing interests for. I know heaps of furries whose partners aren't furries, but they'll still come with them to conventions and be their handler when they're fursuit and just be there for them. If your partner still super hates the concept of furries, communicate with them and come to a healthy solution. Compromise is an important part of relationships. In closing, you never have to come out as a furry, and you certainly don't have to share it with everyone you meet. But don't feel like you have to hide it either. Use your own judgment on when you should bring it up and with who. The more organically you can mention it, the more open people are to it. For me, most people find out I'm a furry when they ask about my job, which is this. I normally don't elaborate more than just saying I'm a YouTuber, but if they ask what it is specifically I do on there, time to break out the old explaining furry to a normie spiel. Before YouTube, I'd only ever bring it up if I was asked about my hobbies, because fursuiting was quite a large part of my life. Pretty much every single time they've been super intrigued and absolutely mind blown at the quality of fursuits. Like, a lot of them don't even believe that Pocari was mine. They're like, oh, it looks too professional to be just a hobby thing. I've never had a family, friend, or workplace relationship suffer from finding out I'm a furry. Be humble, be respectful, and you'll be absolutely fine. Thank you for watching. Good luck for all of yous out there, and I'll see you next time. Bye!